Knock, knock. You're supposed to respond. You know how these work. You know how knock-knock jokes go. I'm not going to do this with myself. I'll start from the beginning. Do your part. Knock, knock. Thank you. America. America the beautiful, you simple bitch, bitch, don't let me hear stuff don't freezing out here. America the beautiful, land of the free, and home of the Heart Attack Grill, located in the most authentic American part of this purple flame country. I'm, of course, talking about none other than the Fremont Street Experience in good old Sin City. Little people dressed as sexy nurses driving around a tiny little ambulance that distributes beer. Yeah, we got it. Obese people dressed in hospital gowns weighing themselves on a freight elevator size scale. Yeah, buddy, we got them too. I mean, what is more American than numerous deaths due to heart attacks at an establishment where we boast if you weigh over 350 pounds, you're eating free. We're solving world hunger, and we're solving poverty in one fair swoop, the American way. You know, actually, to add on to that list, technically, I guess we're helping with overpopulation too. Seems like we've got ourselves a real patriotic triple threat on our hands. And the only thing better than a triple? A quadruple, such as our quadruple bypass burger. Are you telling me these fine-ass honeys are gonna serve me a burger packing a mad 10,000 calories? Sign me up for one of these burgers, okay? Yeah, waiter, I'd like a reservation, please. One guy, 2 thumbs. It's this guy. What? Sorry, what? Oh, you don't take reservations. I just sit at any table. Well, I'll just take a table for one, please. Very lonely. 10,000 calories. Holy shit. This is 5 times the daily recommended amount for an average person. According to my calculations, you know, my abacus, all my oddly shaped vials with crazy colored liquid that I'm doing experiments with, means every time I eat one of these sons of bitches, I'm gaining an additional 5 days of life. Hey, Mr. Nobel Peace Prize man, I'll take my medallion now. I don't know if you noticed, but I just discovered the freaking fountain of youth over here. You know what? I think I'm in love with this burger. I'm gonna fuck this burger. You know, because nothing gets the blood flowing in my penis quite like a burger that somehow fits 3 cows into one patty and has killed more people than Ed Gein. Matter of fact, the only thing that gets my baby gravy ladle fuller than a food that is named after its literal fatal side effects is a little something that we have here in America. Maybe you may have heard of it once or twice. It's called freedom. And let me ask you, what's more free than a good old-fashioned election? Oh, look at the clock, little boys and girls. It's fact time. Fun fact, did you know that America is literally the only country in the entire universe or any other neighboring universes that could exist if you buy into string theory in which its citizens are allowed to vote? Other countries don't even have a word for election in their spaghetti languages. China, whoever could build the greatest wall. Now you're in charge. Mexico? Don't even get me started. Best acapella rendition of El Sonidito. Oh, Germany? You don't know that one either? Classic early 2000s beer fest style boot chug. Read a gosh darn encyclopedia. So next time a football player wants to take a knee, or a black person's complaining because some racist, power abusing police officer murdered their entire family, you tell them, hey, Devontae, at least that police officer could vote. And you too, I guess. You know, as long as it's not before 1870. In recognition of America's absolutely flawless election system, I figured I would take the time to break down how our elections work so you and I can appreciate them together. Strap in that double extended seatbelt you got there and grab a fresh tub of flatliner fries, because we're going on a classic American road trip across a flawless, unbreakable infrastructure that is our election system. Buckle the fuck up, you dirty little patriotic slut. Now, part of the beauty in our country's election system is its intricacy. You dig? This isn't some modern art, minimalistic, taking a shit on a white piece of paper and selling it for $450 at a Silver coffee shop. America's foundation is a classic, like the Mona Lisa or the Art of the Deal. As much as I'd love to just unload all over you in a quick 5-minute video, this complex system, this being that we are diving into and trying to study like we're Miss Frizzle's Magic School Bus and we're getting bored by a little boy. It's very complicated, okay? A quick 5-minute video on the topic would simply be impossible, improbable, Because, baby, this shit ain't popsicle. Popsicle. Fuck. So this topic is going to be split up into several sections across several videos, which means to keep up with the whole shebang, you gotta do that classic YouTuber shit. I'm talking about smashing that subscribe button, dropping a like, leaving a comment. You gotta ding the bell, because apparently subscribing isn't good enough for YouTube. They had to add a bell feature. What the fuck are you doing? Without further ado, let's just dive into it. Not a little boy's mouth. We're not diving into a boy's mouth. We're diving in to elections. America, founded in 1776, our founding fathers were tired of the tyranny old tea and biscuits across the pond kept forcing upon them. So a bunch of bros and white wigs got together. They were like, yo, England is whack, put my face on a fucking mountain. And thus, our country was born, and it's been successfully governed under the same rules that they decided on at the country's birth to this day. This famous piece of paper I'm referring to is, of course, called the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union. WT fuck? What about my boy the Constitution? What's next? You're gonna try to tell me that My Chemical Romance had an album before the Black Parade? Yo, okay, J.K. Rowling. Harry Potter's gay. Apparently something called 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge exists. Those 13 original colonies you always had to sing about in music class, it was always for some reason in the annex building of the school for whatever reason. 50 nifty United States from 13 original colonies. Shout 'em, scout 'em, tell all about 'em! Yeah, apparently these jabronis were living out some sort of Rand Paul, 69 and Gary Johnson libertarian wet dream.
And what is Aleppo? You're kidding. No.
Any decision that had to be made had to be voted on from each state. Each state got 1 vote. So they had to have a 9 out of 13 majority to get shit done. Nothing ever fucking got done. On top of that, the country was broke as a yolk, no joke, because the government wasn't collecting taxes from the states. So they took a look at this Articles of Confederation, Perpetual Union, and they're like, this is dumb. Hey, Thomas Jefferson, we just forward these articles really quick so we can rewrite this shit? Jesus Christ. So the 13 colonies planned a meeting in 1786 to get together to revise the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union. The only issue was, nobody showed up. They were like that John Travolta gif. They were just like, hey, where'd the people go? So they decided to try again in 1787, and I guess everybody felt bad about ghosting their newly founded country the year before, because all 55 delegates showed up. John Hancock took the Articles of Confederation, crumpled it up, and then just straight up Kobe'd it into the ocean like it was the goddamn Boston Tea Party, and they decided to start from scratch. What's it gonna be? Oh, holy shit, the Constitution! And this Constitution that these founding fathers came up with for the patch for America is still more or less so to this day the exact same. You know, the couple amendments. It's not exclusive to just white landowners anymore. While all the 55 delegates were on the same page, the same book, the same library, they were still a little cautious about creating a government with too much power. Rightfully so. I mean, I get why they were hesitant. England didn't go so well for them. Alexander Hamilton, aka the only founding father with his own Tumblr fanfiction page, wanted the president, senators, to have lifelong terms. Obviously that didn't play out. Everybody else just was like, who brought the fucking idiot to the meeting? Go write a musical, you little bitch. But our founding fathers were also very aware what happens if a government is too small. And in 1786 and 1787, a little something called Shays' Rebellion came around. There's 4,000 men who attempted to overthrow their state's government. The founding daddies of this great country came to a middle ground in which they decided that America would not be a direct democracy. That's why to this day, you and we don't actually vote for a president. You may be in the voting booth, punching out a couple of chads, make sure you get them all the way. Notoriously, they like to hang around. They're real lingerers. Don't tell them it's selling fucking Percocets. You may be punching out those chads, thinking you're voting for a president, but you're not. This little thing we always hear about called the popular vote is just basically a novelty. It doesn't really matter in the grandest scheme of things. I mean, don't confuse what I'm saying right now with your vote literally does not matter, though. It definitely matters, for the love of God. Please vote. I however say the overall popular vote is a novelty because these leather zaddies of ours back in the 1700s were dumb AF. When they told you to shut your little mouth so they can make the decisions, they meant it. And if you didn't, you're gonna get spanking on your little baby bottom. Your little baby. And because of that, we have what is known as the Electoral College. What is the Electoral College? It's one of life's many many great mysteries, such as, was the intro to this video to get to this topic that is supposed to be the main point, the Electoral College, a little too long? Yeah, probably. Did I need to do the bit at the beginning about the heart attack grill? No, most definitely not. But while the popular vote amongst those of you watching would agree with that, my name is the Electoral College, and you can go fudge yourself, because I'm putting that shit in there anyways. In layman's terms, the Electoral College is a system designed in which we vote for a person who pinky promises to vote for the president that we would vote for if we could vote for the president, but we can't.
We're actually voting for a slate of electors. We're not voting for the candidates.
It's all pretty simple. You see, states are given a set amount of electoral votes based on the members in the House of Representatives that they have, which is a guaranteed minimum of 1, and then the amount of senators that they have, which each state has 2. The amount of representatives in each state is based off the amount of congressional districts in said state, which itself is based off of the population of the state. How are these districts drawn? Well, every census year, which is every 10 years, next being 2020, the majority representative party in that state does a redrawing of all the congressional districts, which is supposed to be based on the ever-fluid population of the state. But gerrymandering has fucked any possibility of us ever seeing a truly unbiased congressional map. Anyways, who are the people casting these votes once we vote for them? Who fucking knows? When do we vote for them? We don't. Who does? Our representatives. You see, it really is all that simple. One of the many side effects of the Electoral College is the fact that states with a larger population get more electoral votes. It's pretty sick, right? Yeah, it's sick. Sick like cancer.
Like you're gonna fucking die kind of sick.
You better start praying How to Save a Life by the Fray doesn't come over the loudspeaker, because Dr. Cox just gave you rabies organs and sugar. You ain't looking on Jesus' good side. California, for example, is a big state. It's like so big, guys. It's so big and so thick and so fucking hard. California has a population just right under 40 million. That's a lot of people. That's like more than like this many. That monster, that spooky, scary monster of a population size means that each electoral vote in the state of California represents roughly 713,404 people. That's a lot of people. Probably even more than 40 million. I don't know for sure though, I'm no dendrochronologist. Now let's go take a look at another state. How about we say the ticking time bomb of a natural disaster that is Wyoming. Yellowstone scares the shit out of me. That shit keeps me up at night. Yellowstone gonna make me yellow my pants. Because I'm gonna piss in them. As of the magical year of 2018, Wyoming had a total population of 577,737 people. Which, I don't know if you could do the math there, but that's drastically lower than just one of the gigantic frickin' districts here in California. Wyoming has their 2 senators, but that's really nothing to write home about. I mean, they have no right to take out a piece of parchment and some quill pen and start scribbling down, "Ah, dearest mother, I have the grandest of news. I've achieved the impossible accomplishment of acquiring a whopping 2 senators." Because guess what, Wyoming? Each state has 2 senators. I said that earlier. It's so each state has a proper representation, or is not underrepresented, in the Senate. While Wyoming does have their 2 senators, they only have their 1 member in the House of Representatives. This is something that's called an at-large representative, because they represent a large amount of space, because it's the entire state. Pretty clever, right? Yeah, politicians are real fucking wordsmiths. So with those 2 senators and the 1 at-large representative, Wyoming has a total of 3 electoral votes, which is the bare minimum you can have in the country. So while in theory, California having its 55 electoral votes because of its massive population, and then Wyoming only having the 3 because it's little teeny tiny baby state, while that all makes sense in theory, in reality, it actually creates an unfair vote trade-off, leaning in favor of Wyoming. Oh, what the fuck? Plot twist! If you live in this great state of Hollywood elites, such as myself, then your vote is worth less proportionally than it is in Wyoming. Comparing the 2 states population-wise, a vote in Wyoming is actually worth 3 times the amount of a vote here in good old California. And once again, I'm no dendrochronologist, but that's certainly a number. Now, I'm sure some people are gonna come at me with some stupid brain nonsense like, Patrick, California still got 55 electoral votes to dish out family style like we're at a goddamn Buca de Beppo. Who gives a flip if Wyoming has less people per vote? I'm gonna tell you who gives a flying flip. Close your eyes, listen to the sound of the voice that you hear speaking right now. You know who that is? Open them. It's me. I give a flying flip. In total, our country has 538 electoral votes that we can give out to either the blue one or the red one. There's the There's a green guy playing on the monkey bars up there for some reason. And if each one of these votes was distributed evenly across our country, then as of the 2010 census, each one would be worth roughly 574,000 citizens. But that's not the case, because votes are not tallied out to citizens, they're tallied out to states. This is why we have such a large population difference between the districts in California and Wyoming. So this leads to a system where one man does not always equal one vote, or one woman, or one dog. Joking. We all know dogs can't vote. Sometimes one dog can equal 3 votes, or sometimes it can equal what political analysis referred to as a tiny little bitch boy vote. When it comes to electoral votes, the US of A follows what's called a winner-takes-all system, with the 2 exceptions, for some reason, being Maine and Nebraska. Maine probably decides who they give their electoral votes based off who can read the most Stephen King novels while they're in Bar Harbor and eating whoopie pies, but instead of the chocolate cakes that typically encapsulate the cream of said whoopie pie, those are replaced by lobster rolls. A winner-takes-all system follows the same principalities from the hit film Talladega Nights, The Legend of Ricky's Boobies. Whenever Ricky Boobies' daddy tells him, he pulls him aside, he says, "Hello, son, I'm your dad. Look, got some life advice for you. If you're in a NASCAR race and you come in first place, good job. You came in first place. You got first place. Now what happens if you come in second place? You're in last place. You come in third place, daddy's gonna vor ya." Whether the candidate loses a state by 1% or 49%, it doesn't matter, they lose that state. Because when it comes to the Electoral College, there's no silver or bronze, baby. Just that sweet, sweet gold. For example, in 2012, Matorius Romney won over 40% of the vote in 27 districts in California, which secured him 30% of the state's total vote, which is typically hella blue. However, because of Obama still getting 60% of the state's total votes, he walked away with all 55 electoral votes, which led to Matorius' now famous line, "Thanks to Bruno," or in 2016, whenever Hillary Clinton won 42% of the total votes in Texas, which is so goddamn red. If you were to look at an electoral map, you say, "Hey, who put this big old juicy tomato on my map?" But because Donald Trump still got 52% of the state's total votes, he was able to grab all 36 electoral votes right by the pussy. And these states, such as California and Texas, are also what's known as safe states, which means the majority of the population typically leans one way politically. Over in California, we have a bunch of gay, pot-smoking, liberal, hippie surfer bros who are living blue dabba-dee-da. Meanwhile, in Texas, we have a bunch of Ted Cruz clones who've pledged their allegiance to the rebirth of the Confederacy. So if you are a citizen of one of these 2 states, not only is your vote worth less because of the way electoral votes are distributed throughout a country, but if you're voting against the status quo of the political party who has the majority in those states, your vote is almost worth absolutely nothing, because unless you somehow flip that entire state, the candidate you voted for, they aren't seeing jack shit of that vote. The big boy argument in favor of the Electoral College is that this big boy protects small states, the little boy. So it's big boy, little boy, you get it, let's move on. The Electoral College provides a system in which it's technically possible to only have 21% of the popular vote, but still become the president. That's fucking bonkers. Is that situation incredibly unlikely? Yeah, duh. Come on. Read Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, you fucking idiot. But in another situation that is very unlikely is somebody winning the popular vote but not winning the Electoral College. However, out of the 4 times that has happened in the history of our country, 2 times have been in the last 5 elections, which means since the year 2000, 40% of our presidential elections have not represented how the majority of our country actually votes. If you went to your local fair and the carny man running the Gravitron you're about to step on said,
60% of the time, it works. Every time.
You'd be a little fucking curious about that other 40%. And also, to touch back on the argument for the Electoral College, which they're looking out for, the little guy, the little teeny tiny states, that's also just a big old rod of baloney. In our country, we have over 4.4 million fully fledged United States citizens that have 0 representation in the Electoral College. People seem to forget about them unless the president's spiking a roll of paper towels in their face, but they exist. Puerto Rico, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the Northern Mariana Islands is that racist, has a larger population than the 2 Dakotas, Wyoming, Delaware, Vermont, and Alaska all combined. However, they have 0 representation in the Electoral College. The District of Columbia is not a state, yet they still have 3 electoral votes. That's some bullshit. So by those standards, all these other U.S. territories should have the minimum guaranteed amount of 3 electoral votes. But Alas, they do not. So this is just another one of the many ways the Electoral College fails to represent our country properly. A United States citizen who lives in a different country can just mail in a vote and still be represented in the Electoral College. But if that same citizen moved down to the United States territories, no, you go fuck yourself. Here's a roll of toilet paper and a bag of Fuego Takis. That should get you through the next hurricane season. Astronauts who don't even live on the fucking planet can still vote. So if the Electoral College does not properly represent, or in some situations represent at all, the citizens of the United States, then why does it exist? It had to have some beneficial reason for its creation at some point in time. In the next video, I'm going to cover what we touched on a little bit earlier in the video, much more detail, the creation of the electoral system. But remember, to make sure you get that notification on your phone, on your computer, on your Samsung smart fridge, you gotta smash that subscribe button. Smash your goddamn face in the keyboard and hit enter in the comment section. Let's talk about whatever your forehead typed out. I don't care.
I hope you relish this evening as much as I. Ah!